How's it going? We're having a hard time. Remember, this is how you're gonna do it. Except for key, it will be Jan, and then for data, it could be like this, so on and so forth for the rest of the month. Is anyone done yet? How far are we? Is anyone close? No?
That's it, right?
Let's see. Month conversions is equal to January, comma, February. Yeah, but you need to put them in what do you call it? Quotation marks. Otherwise, that just doesn't mean anything. But yes, more or less. Let's continue. That's how it is. Is that visible for you guys? Do you want me to zoom in a little bit so you can see it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the brackets only at the beginning and end. It's
Yes.
not for each line.
No.
Okay.
So anything within here, within these brackets, is part of the month conversions. Okay? Now I'm going to copy this in here for you guys, so you all have it. There we go, just like that. That's the code. And if we do this, something like that. And you see where it says VT? It's just supposed to be enter. You can just erase that. Just the way that it copies it, for whatever reason. Now it doesn't have to. You don't have to press enter here. I'm just doing it so it's easier for us to see. But yeah, you don't have to do this. You can just be like this. So just it can be like that. You know. There's no problem. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just doing it to be clear. The computer doesn't recognize or understand spaces. This is just for our clarity. What it does understand is basically whether the spaces within variable terms and whether there are indentations. Okay, that's what the computer understands. So is everyone with me so far? Everyone copied it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how do we access this now? Right, so we've got it. Now how do we access it? Well, if we type this in, print month conversions, which is the name, and we open square brackets and say November, what does it say? Nov. Press play. It says November, right? So I've accessed the data based on the key. So in a list, in order to access something, we would actually have to, well, access the index of it. But within a dictionary, we can just tell it that within the list, find the data that's under this key. So we're giving it the key and print that data. Okay? Does that make sense for everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of?
Yep.
All right. What if you do this? What happens when you do this? What happens if you do this? Come on. Someone must have typed it out by now.
Same thing.
Here's December.
December, yes. So, what's the difference between typing in, let me just type it in quickly, month conversions dot get, oops, open brackets, and we're saying December. What's the difference between, oops, didn't type it right. Oh, yeah, sorry. Get is not it's a function, so it requires square bracket, the normal brackets. Not bad. So what's the difference between this and this? If they both give the same result, why would you use get instead of this?
Because the first one just gets the end value, whereas the second one gets the structure of it as well.
No. What if I type get sol here and press play? What does it say? Come on, I've got it right here. What does it say?
None.
None. Yes.
It's searching it it's trying to find the value rather than just referencing.
Exactly. So if I was using this and I tried and telling it to print this, it's gonna say there's an error because there's a key error. There's no key named Sol, right? Why? Because I'm not a month, obviously. So if you're searching for something that you don't know if it exists, you know, this is a better way of doing it, basically. Make sense? Yeah. Hopefully.
Yep.
So you can use any data type as a key as long as they are unique. Remember this. If you have two things with the same data type, with the same key, it's problematic. So let's see. I want you to create a program that prints out the full name of the month using the user's inputted 3 first letters of the month. So you need to ask the user to input the first 3 letters of the month, and then it needs to print out those letters. How do we do that? Or print out the month, sorry. How do we do that? Remember, if we want to have input from the user, correct? We can make it a variable, and we say that month input is equal to input, open brackets, input first 3 letters of a month. Let's play that. Yeah, looks fine. Okay, so month input now is those 3 letters, right? So how are we going to use that? So once I type this in, for it to print out the month. How am I going to do that?
That works.
Did you paste something? Month is equal to string lower input. What did you type input? Ah, sorry. I just realized that's in quotation marks. Input first 2 letters of the month. Yeah, that's fine. Print month conversion dot get month. Yes. Yep, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Done it here as well. So slightly different. I didn't make it into a string because
I've done it as string lower because I've got my dictionary just all lowercase anyway. So
you know what would be really funny if I type a number here, right? And 5, it'll just say none because I used the get. So even if it's wrong, but yes, converting it into a string would be in the lowercase, so str lower will actually be really helpful. You can even say that if it returns none, if this returns none, then print this, otherwise print that. But yeah, just making it more complex. Right, so everyone with me so far? This is the answer. I'm just gonna put it up there. You don't need the month conversions, you just need, actually I don't need to do this, I'll just give you this part. Probably much easier to copy. There we go. Yeah, so blah blah blah. You just made it into a string here. Look at that. Didn't use get. That would have been a problem if someone put something else. Doesn't matter. Right. So does everyone understand what a dictionary is and how we can access it? More or less. Yes? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to learn about while loops. Now, what's so special about while loops? Well, while loops basically say to the computer, keep doing this until or while something is true. Right? While something stands true, you're going to keep doing this. And this is a very interesting part, and some of you might want to skip typing code for this one if you're not very confident. Because if you get it wrong, the computer burns up. You'll just keep running the code and keep running and keep running and keep running and keep running until you shut it off or it burns out. So no pressure. So what is a while loop? It allows us to tell the computer to run through a specific code, executing it repeatedly while a certain condition is false. So, how do we code it? Well, a very simple way, you just write while, and then you type in the condition, and then you type the code that's going to run until the condition goes through. Let's not do this challenge. I'll do it for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to code a variable called I and give it a value of 1. So let's start with that. There's a variable called I. I'm going to delete the stuff from up here. We don't need it. I is equal to 1. Right? So I've got my variable. It's I and it's equal to 1. If I run it, everything's fine. Then I want to create a while loop with the condition that I being less than or equal to 10. Okay, so while I is less than or equal to 10, right? And now we need to put a code in that says it prints I and at the same time adds a value of 1 to I. So I want you to print I, right? And at the same time, this is part of the code, I is equal to I, which is whatever its value is, plus 1. There's a shortened way of doing it, but don't worry about it. Okay? And then, that's what we've done, right? Place the code on it, and then adds a value to I. And then outside the loop, print done. So once this runs, we're going to print the word done. And now is the moment of truth. Run it. So what did it do? It ran the code again and again and again and again until the value was 10, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then it was done. So that's a while loop, right? While this is lower than this, right? While this value here is lower than this value here, do these things. Does that make sense for everyone? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. This is your while loop. I can copy it in there if you want to have it. And you want to run it. That's it. That's a while loop. There are parts of the code where you're going to be coding Rhino and Grasshopper where you want to keep doing an iteration until the distance from that to that is that much, let's say. So that's how you would use a while code. But again, you have to be quite careful. Otherwise it just runs on a loop. It's quite funny. So let's try to build a guessing game as a means to understand what we learned, all right? So this is going to be a guessing game. So we want to find the secret word. You need to create a variable called secret word and give it a value of giraffe. So how do we do that? How do we create a variable called secret word and give it a value of giraffe?
Equals quotation marks giraffe.
Secret word is equal to quotation marks giraffe. Whoops, my tree didn't. Okay, so the first part, we got it. It's in the bag. Second part, create a variable called guess. Okay, let's create a variable called guess, and we're going to make it as an empty variable, an empty string data variable. Then, create a while loop that keeps looping as long as guess is not equal to the secret word. Okay. While guess is not equal to secret word underscore word, right? What's wrong with this? Okay. Within the loop, have guess be equal to the user's input. Guess is equal to input. Please guess the animal I am thinking of. Okay? And then if the loop breaks, print you win. So if the loop breaks, we're going to print you win. So while guess is not equal, I think that's how you type not equal. Right? No, that's wrong. It's this one. See? That's why it wasn't ready. There we go. While guess is not equal to secret word, guess is equal to the input of the user. And if he figures out, it wins. So it says, guess what animal I'm thinking of. Let's say lion. Nope. Guess again. Cow. Cat. Nope. It just keeps going until I type giraffe. And then it says you win. Everyone with me so far?
Yep.
Yeah. I put a numerical version of that in the chat.
Okay, let's look at it. Haha. So if the number is too low, you've added a counter to it. Nice. Very nice. Okay. So that's the answer. Everyone's got it. Because technically I wrote the code. But Josh did write another code as well, so that's pretty good. I'm just keeping your computer safe at this point. So let's improve it. We want to limit the number of guesses to 3, meaning that if they go over those guesses, they lose the game. If they lose, print out of guesses, you lose. If they win, print out, you win. So how do we do this? Now, guys, how do we limit the number?
Or I in range.
Yes. And then we put I. Well, we can put I is equal to 1, let's say. And we'll say, well, I is bigger. No. Well, I is smaller than and equal to 3, because we have 3 guesses. And guess is not that word. Then guess is equal to input learner. Right? So then, at the same time, we need to say that I, if here the guy failed or the woman failed, I is equal to I plus 1. That just increases in size. So present so put lion, cow, cat. Yeah, it says you win. So we've got that part right? We've got the while loop correct. Right? So while this is less than 3, so our counter for guesses is less than 3. It can be any name you want, by the way. I just use I. And guess is not the secret word, right? Because we're changing the variable guess. And we're putting it here. And we give them 3 tries. Now, we need to tell it that if they lose, you need to print out that they're out of guesses. But if they win, you print out that they win. And this is the tricky part. How do we know if they won? And how do we know if they lost? Suggestions?
Would you have to say that if I is less than 3 and the guess equals the secret word, then they've won?
You're half correct. Because this is going to expire. So the number of attempts don't care. But we do care if at the end of this, so after the loop is broken, if guess is actually equal to secret word. So we have to write an if statement, right? And we have to say that if guess is in fact equal, remember, to secret word, then you're going to print out this. Anything else, you're printing out. You lost big time. Shall we test it? Let's do it. So let's try losing streak. Lion, cow, cat. You lost big time. All right, let's run it again. And write giraffe. And I win. So yes, that was a correct idea. Josh is right. You could even say how many attempts you have left. So you can add a statement here and say and I is equal to still equal to 1, or is equal to 2, or is equal to 3. So that if that's the attempt and it's that, then you just say that you've won on your last try, or you have that many with that many attempts still left, or something. Just add another statement to it. Another condition, sorry. Yeah, that's it. Anyone have any questions? No?
Just as for that last one, you could potentially do it as instead of doing the while it's less than 3, you could do for it like for I in range bracket 0 to 3, and then just limit it that way rather than saying that there's a numerical limit at the top. You could range it instead.
Yeah, of course. I've got it here, for example. I have I've done it a bit differently. I said that. Oops, sorry. Let's zoom in so you can see the code that I've done here. It's a little bit more intricate. I put a guess count. Right? I put a counter for the guesses, and I put a limit, and said that if out of guesses is equal to false. So I'm saying while guess is not secret word and out of guesses is equal to false, then you keep doing this. And if guess count is less than guess limit, then you get an input, and also you add 1 to the counter. Otherwise, if the guess counter is not less than the guess limit, then you're at the limit. Out of guesses is equal to true, so it nullifies that. And if out of guesses is equal to true, that means I don't have to say is equal true. If you write that, it means that if that boolean is true, you print out of guesses you lose, otherwise you print you win. So this is a different way of doing it. Everyone okay with it? There's many ways you can do it. Josh, what you suggested is also correct. So, everyone understand how to create a while loop? Sort of?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go to the for loop. While loops, dirty brother. Okay. I don't know why I wrote that. It was years ago. So, what is a for loop? And it's just gone crazy. So what's a for loop, guys? Anyone know?
Well, you can say that you've got a range of numbers, and you've got them in a list, and you're going through each index value. You can say for the index within that range.
Yeah. Or for every item in a list, or for a range of these. You know, depends on what you want to do. So, what it basically does is allows us to loop over a collection of items. And how do we code it? Well, we type in for, we give it a variable, and in, and we give it a collection, and then we're telling it to do something. So, for every variable within this collection, do something. So for every letter in Giraffe Academy, I want you to print a letter, the letter itself. So let's type it in. I'm going to delete this code because it's not working out. But I'm typing letter, but it could be anything, right? It's just saying for every item within, so for every item in, and here what I'm giving it is a data structure, and it could be anything. CPU, ADD courses, right? That's what I'm giving it. So for every letter, so for every item within this data, I want you to do something. I want you to print, I don't know why I have capitals, don't worry. I want you to print the letter. So what am I telling it to do here exactly? Now guys, what am I saying?
You're asking it to run through that list from start to finish and print every letter.
Yes. So in this case, CPU ADD courses, the way that I gave it is a collection of data. If I am to break that data down even further, it means that I have to take every digit of this data string. Correct? So what it's doing is, letter, it basically represents the digits individually. So the first iteration of the loop would be C, the second iteration of the loop would be P, and so on and so forth. So by telling it to print letter, it means that every time it runs, it's printing whatever this is referencing depending on the term. So if I run it now, there we go, CPU, space is also a data, ADD courses. Do you get it? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So why didn't we need to set a variable letter beforehand? So why didn't I have to tell this that it's worth something? Huh? What if I type anything? Do you think it's going to work? What is it going to do if I type
you can
anything?
define you're defining the name for that, and you need to make it unique every time you're referencing a new thing.
Okay. So if I type anything here, put your money in. Let's make a little bet. What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to print anything? Is it going to print something? Is it going to be different than this or the same as this? Is it going to throw an error because it's not a letter?
It's going to be the same.
Okay, one the same. Next. Come on. Want to hear some voices?
I think it's gonna be the same as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be the same.
That's pretty it. It's the same. Why is it the same? Because this doesn't mean anything. This is just a variable. It could be any name that you think. FG. You know? It doesn't matter. We're doing it for our convenience. The point is that what I'm asking you to do is that for whatever breakdown of this further that you have, right, within this collection, whatever element within this collection, print that element every turn. Just look through it. So, new challenge. We are going to create a list of friends, and I want you to add 4 of your friends' name to the list. And you need to create a for loop that for every friend in that list, it prints out the name of the friend. Now we're working with a list. Can you guys do this? Seems easy, right? It's a for loop. We're gonna create a a list called friends. You're gonna add 4 people on that list, or 4 names. Now, let's take it step by step. So the first thing you want to do is create a list of friends and add 4 names to it. How do we do that? How do we create a list called friends? Come on, someone.
Friends equals curly bracket, and then a list of the names.
Square bracket.
Instead, square
List
bracket.
is square bracket. Okay, and
And
now
then
what?
the names in quotation marks.
Yeah, and I add the name of my friends. Give me 4 names.
Mike,
Mike is one of them.
Abby.
Yeah. Next one.
Abby,
Abby. Yeah. Next.
Henry,
Henry.
and Elise.
Elise. So what we have here is a collection of Mike's friends, including himself. You're your own. You're your own friend, Mike. Okay, but yes, that is correct. Now we have a list of friends, and if we press play, it doesn't have any errors. It's happy with it. So we created a list. Now we need to create a for loop that for every friend in the list, it prints out the name of the friend. So how do we do that? Come on, how do we do that?
In the chat.
Yeah, let's see in the chat. For I in range of 0. Yeah, that's the easy one. Was expecting this one. You went a little bit overboard with that one. You're basically trying to get them to write the list themselves and then print the whole list. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to create a for loop. So for friend in friends, right? I'm naming friend, it could be anything. I want you to print the friend. So if you press play, there we go. Mike, Abby, Henry, and Elise. That's not too difficult, is it? Do you think everyone will be capable of doing a for loop? So for example, in the okay, let's look at an example. Actually, might be quite helpful. So if we go into the CA model, you guys remember the CA model? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go into one of the Python nodes within that CA model, and let's check out the code. Because the objective here is not necessarily for you guys to be able to write a whole program by yourselves, but it's for you to be able to take elements of other programs and understand them and adapt them to what you're trying to do. So if we go into Grasshopper here, come on, open up. There we go. And run this one, please. The CA model. So, for the CA model, right, let's go to a node. That's from for loops, but I want something that's a little bit clearer. There we go. So this is where I'm setting the number of turns for the CA model. Okay. So there we go. I'm setting it 5 turns, and I'm saying for count in range of n, and n is 5. So for every number in that range, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, correct? And for every plot in all plots, and all plots are all of the plots that I have with their type, I want you to find I want you to do, basically what I'm telling it here is that I'm resetting the type counters for each one, and then for each one, for every other element within the plot.neighbor, because plot is a class. I want you to find how many of these exist and add to that counter. How many of these exist and add to that counter, and so on and so forth. So it's a for loop within a for loop within a for loop. It's a triple for loop. You see how you can use them? No?
Mm-hmm.
That's an even easier one here. So here, I'm saying that every single one of these plots has a type. And then for every plot within those plots, I want you to give it a plot type. And if its plot type is equal to that, then append it on each one of the types here. So that only these things, only these elements that are type 1 come out of here, only these elements of type 2 come out of here, and so on and so forth. So it's running through the whole list of these. Does everyone understand how a plot works? A for loop works? Yeah, why it can be useful for us? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all we can hope for. So, we've done this. Perfect. We've got the answer. Oh, we're missing a friend, and this is supposed to be friend, not fear end. It's okay. Things happen. So, other examples. So when you write for index in range of 10, print index, what does that do? Come on, someone run this code. Or tell me what it does, and I'll tell you if it's right or wrong. Remember, there's no wrong answers, because you're basically asking questions. Come on. Can someone say what this thing is going to do if we run it?
It's going to print numbers from 0 to 10.
Aha. Why is it printing 0?
Because that's what it always does. It always starts from 0.
It's actually printing out the key instead of the actual items.
So it's printing until 9, okay? But yes, you're right. It's the index. It's
a bit similar with Grasshopper.
Exactly. See? It's very similar to Grasshopper because computers start their lists from 0, not 1. So the first item on the list is always indexed at 0. Right, so what if we do this? For index in range of 3 to 10, what does that do?
Just goes between 3 and 10.
Not quite. Not quite. What do we just say?
3 and 9.
Ooh, 3 and 9. Is it 3 and 9? And where is it? Yes, you are correct. 3 and 9. Why? Because I'm telling it to start from 3 and end on the 10th count, which is number 9. And when I tell it to start at 3, it includes that as well. No, sorry, it doesn't include that. So it goes, no, does it? No, it doesn't, because 3 here is, yeah. No, it doesn't include it. Yeah, so what happens if we do this? Oh, we're bringing back friends. For index in range of len friends, print friends index. What am I telling you to do here? So what am I telling you to do here?
You print the
Are you assigning numbers to the friends in the list?
No, I'm telling you to give me the length, in range of the length of friends. I want you to print, let's see.
print how many friends you have.
So the length of the list is how many elements are in the list. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the length of the list is 4. So I'm telling it
Yeah.
that for index in range of 4, essentially, I want you to print friends, and I want you to print the item that has that index. When you do this, you're basically telling it to print that index on the list. So it's running from the first index, which is 0, which is Mike, then going to the second index, which is number 1, which is Abby, then number 2, which is Henry, and number 3, which is Elise, which is, and then it's reached the length of the list. So if I was to add more here, and I was to add, let's say, Jan, and let's say we're also adding, I don't know, Reggie. Reggie's with a J, you know that? Anyway, it's going to print those as well. Because the length of the list increases, therefore there's more things here to print. That makes sense for everyone?
Yeah.
Good. We're getting there. A few more. So the common uses. You're going to be using it to loop through arrays, loop through strings, and loop through a range of numbers. So let's do the final challenge. You're going to create a loop, a for loop, for an index in range of 5. Now this is the last one, so you can do it yourselves, and I'll help out. So a for loop for an index in range of 5. Right? So similar to this. And within the for loop, you're going to create an if statement code so that if the index is equal to the number 0, it prints first iteration. If it's equal to the number 1, it prints second iteration, and so on. For every index, it prints until the last iteration, which will print last iteration. I'm going to leave it here for you guys to read out again. Let's see if you can code it. How far are you? Anyone able to do it? Create a for loop for an index in range of 5. Basically this. But it will be in range of 5, right? You got it so far, guys?
Yeah.
And then within the for loop, you're going to create an if statement so that if the index is equal to the number 0, it prints the first iteration. It prints first iteration. So if index is equal to 0, print first iteration. Everyone got it so far? No one has it.
Yeah, I have that bit.
Okay.
Up to the fifth iteration.
Up to the fifth iteration. So you've done that.
Yeah.
So you finished it.
I don't know. I mean, is there something that needs to go at the end? I don't know. I guess maybe I'll finish it. Yeah.
Until the last iteration, which prints last iteration. Yeah, I guess that's it. Oh, did someone send something? Yes, Josh. Well, you don't have to define 0 to 5 here. But yes, that is correct. So if we go here, we can see it. So for index in range of 5, if index is equal to 0, print first iteration. If it's equal to 1, print second iteration. If it's equal to 2, print third iteration. Is equal to 3, print fourth iteration. And otherwise, print last iteration. Everyone okay with that? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's essentially what a for loop is. That's it. If you manage to understand that and the while loops, that's basically it. Difficult? What are we thinking? Easy? No?
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad, huh? It's not too bad. It's not that difficult, is it? It's really not that difficult. It's basically a series of logic statements. You just need to know the syntax to write it correctly. All right, well, that's it